welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing an update for my Vendread deck. I figure October really just ended and we're only moving into November, so I think some of you might still have some zombie vibes left over, or at least that zombie spirit. So with that being said, let's just continue off with another zombie deck, and in this case, an old favourite, definitely something I find to be quite fun, has its own unique play. Of course, being a ritual deck, that's also a rarity as well. But of course, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, share, comment and subscribe, hit that bell notification, it all helps. And without further ado, let's begin. So starting off, we're going to be playing our 3 copies of the Slayer. Slayer will pretty much always be a 3 of, just because it works so well with the field spell, being that you could search it out really easily with the pre-preparation of rites. As a result, to play 3 copies of this, just by the wording of the actual ritual spell itself, it helps the deck's consistency in itself without even it being on the field. But with that being said, you could always use it as tribute fodder for your ritual summons. You could still summon it out, it's one of your very strong ritual monsters out there. So in a situation where you're going one-on-one against a monster, it does definitely become quite an effective monster out there. But of course, I'm also playing 2 copies of our Battle Lord, also an absolutely amazing card, essentially allowing you to lock down your opponent's cards. Really nice here. Think of, let's see, I think it was number 25 Shockmaster, definitely a really powerful card, and that is definitely going to be mimicked by this particular card, Battle Lord here. You could play 3 copies if you actually want to. I personally am just playing 2 copies because it is a higher level ritual monster, so it would be a bit more difficult to actually bring out. And finally, we're playing the 1 copy of the Executor. Executor is simply just the beat stick out there, and we only need to play 1 copy of it, but it still gets the job done. It's still really amazing, but I only play 1 copy simply because it's not as great as the other ones. Also being a much higher level, it requires more tributes. Of course, what about the Vendread monsters? Well, I'm playing 1 Hound Horde, the 1 Revenant, the 1 Striges, and of course the 1 Animat as well. There's really no need to play 3 copies of each. Just 1 copy of each of these is definitely enough. I've even seen different deck profiles out there where they don't play any copies at all. I personally would have to disagree on that, and I would actually want to play at least 1 of each. Of course, I still don't have core. I would really love to have core added into this particular deck, but it's no big deal. For more so the generic zombie support, which is expected, we're playing 2 copies of the Balladrock, a really amazing card of course, Banshee, and of course 2 copies of Glow of Bloom, not only bringing out your Balladrock, but also having the potential to bring out all of your ritual monsters that we went over just earlier. So with that being said, Glow of Bloom actually has a lot more versatility in this particular deck. Following that, we're playing 2 copies of the Solitaire, 2 copies of the Unizombie as well, pretty much allowing you to kind of play 5 copies, really nice of course, and it's one of the greatest starters to allow you to get the deck running. And finally, we're playing 2 copies of Mizuki, 1 copy of Gozuki, and also another copy of Jacobolan as well. Jacobolan is the new addition into this particular deck, allowing you to discard any of these cards to get them to the graveyard to trigger off. Very amazing of course, but being a high level monster, you could directly tribute this to bring out your Vendread ritual monsters, also really amazing. However, moving on to spells, I'm gonna start off here a bit unconventional, but I'm playing 2 copies of Zombie World. Changing your opponent's monsters into zombies is going to be very effective for this particular deck. Only playing 2 because we're not playing too many copies of the Necro World Banshee, plus Zombie World is not necessarily our win condition. As a result, it doesn't really have to be maxed out. As for the ritual spells, 3 copies of Origin, together with Slayer being in its name, it's a really great card to add with the pre-preparation of rites. However, I am also playing 2 copies of Evolution in this particular case, giving you plenty of options to go for your ritual summons. Of course, I've been talking about this all video, 3 copies of the pre-preparation of rights, but I'm also playing as support 2 copies of preparation of rights just to give us a bit of extra consistency. And of course, for a bit of support, we're playing 2 copies of the Super Poly. This is kind of what gives the zombie world the actual effectivity in this particular deck. These zombie worlds will force your opponent's monsters to be zombies. As a result, Super Poly is a very powerful card, allowing you to go for your Drago Necro. But I'm also playing here the Monster Reborn and Caught by the Grave. Generic support, really amazing. Of course, if you want to play Burial from the different dimension, that is definitely an option as well. You could put in just 1 copy, it still works out. Now on to the extra deck, we're playing just the 1 copy of Vendread Savior. Really nice card to get your cards to the graveyard, definitely works out incredibly well. Also playing the Vampire Sucker, generic zombie support of course. Playing here the Ip Masquerena and Unicorn engine, also really amazing. And I'm playing here the Anima just because we have level 1s in the deck, particularly being Glow of Bloom, allowing you to go directly into Anima, not only stealing your opponent's monsters, but potentially adding to your hand more cards, or at least summoning out Baladrock if you have Zombie World out on the board. Of course, we're also playing here Cerberus and Phoenix, being really amazing and toolbox type of cards. For synchros, playing a good variety here, Shogun Saga, Beals, Chaos Ruler, Red Eye Zombie, and also the Void Ogre. Just a plethora of options available given you're playing uni-zombies in the deck. And of course, for the Super Poly targets, we're playing here the Mud Dragon, the Almaduke, and also the Starving Venom. Like I said, if you have Drago Necro, definitely play that in the deck instead of the Almaduke, and you could pretty much make Zombie World a really effective card. Now I did briefly want to touch on a few alternative options in this deck. I decided to play this deck in a more offensive manner, so if you guys haven't noticed, this deck rarely focuses too much on defense. If we were to give it, I guess a rating out of 5 stars, I'd say defense would be at a low 1, whereas offense would be a 4 or even a 5. So with that being said, there is an alternative to this, so if you wanted to play a bit more defensively, you can add hand traps, Ash Blossom, really amazing. You could also throw in the Nibiru's or Kaiju's. Just because you have Zombie World, you could change your opponent's monsters anyway, including the Nibiru, and of course your Kaiju's into zombies, and use the Super Polys, which definitely just give you plenty of resources to work around with. But of course, another great option is also the 2 copies of the Swallow Slash, tributing off your zombie monsters to pretty much disrupt the opponents. But as I said, this deck is more focused around offense over defense, so do keep that in mind when you're actually siding in back and forth here. However, that was pretty much it for today's deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be doing test hands, so do look forward to that. But with that being said, thanks for joining me today. I hope you all have a spectacular day. I'll see you all next time.